Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second day of the IACET 2020 inaugural conference. For those of you who couldn't make it yesterday, my name is Jessica Bird, and I'm the coordinator of accredited provider and affiliate services here at IACET. To everyone who did have a chance to make it yesterday, we wanted to thank you again for taking the time out to participate in our networking and engagement opportunities. If you missed out on the fun and the prizes, at any point in time today, head over to our brand new Instagram using the handle IACET.org, that's IACET.org, to participate in our IACET 2020 VC photo contest. The first follower of the day will receive an IACET gift basket. Now, a quick word from our Vice President of Technology and Organizational Effectiveness, Randy Bowman.
Hi all, thank you for joining us again today. If this is your first time with us today, with us for the conference, we want to just take a few moments and make sure everybody is comfortable with the technology we're going to be using. We are using Zoom Webinar for the platform to deliver this webinar, to deliver this conference. Zoom Webinar is probably familiar to those of you with Zoom Meeting, but there are a few differences we want to cover. To control your experience with us, look to the bottom of your screen for the black bar. This is the Zoom Webinar control bar. With it, you can manage how you experience our webinars. The first button to the far left is our audio settings. You will find this button will control how you are listening to the webinar. Most of you probably are using your computer speakers. If at any time the sound degrades or becomes choppy, you may want to switch over to the phone option to continue listening. If so, click the caret pointing up to expand the menu and change your listening option. The next button over, the second button from the left, is the chat button. You can use this chat button to interact with other attendees, staff, and even the presenter. Just to make sure you are aware, if you want to communicate with just the panelists, make sure that all panelists is the chosen option of who you're sending your message to. This will only come to staff and the presenter. If, on the other hand, you would like to address all attendees, switch your drop-down box from all panelists to all panelists and attendees, and then you can chat to your heart's content. Do be aware, though, all attendees, whenever you do chat, people can see your name. The next button over is the raise your hand button. In this one, during the Q&A, you can raise your hand and we will unmute you so you can ask your question verbally. We can also use raise your hand to do a quick straw poll. So if you're happy to be here today, why don't you click the raise your hand button? Oh, yay! We're getting, looks like practically everybody. So for those of you who aren't happy to be here, we hope to change that. The next button over is our Q&A button. The Q&A button is how you will ask your questions. So at any point during the presentation, go ahead and enter your questions, and at the appropriate time, one of our staff members will moderate the questions and ask the questions verbally to the presenter. To use that, just type your question in the box and click the send button. Now, just so you do know, unless you click the send anonymously checkbox, other attendees will be able to see your question, your name with your question. So if you want to protect your identity, please make sure you click the send anonymously checkbox. Sometimes if we are able to during the meeting, we will go ahead and answer the question for you and type it in. And you will see it appear below the question. Other questions, we're going to save those to the end of the presentation to verbally ask the presenter. Finally, when we are through with the webinar, you can click the red leave button to leave, or if you need to step out for any reason, of course, you can leave at any time. So that's the control bars. We're glad you're here, and I'm going to turn this back over to Jessica.
Thank you so much for that, Randy. As the Chief Executive Officer, Casandra is responsible for organizational oversight. She operationalizes the strategic plan by engaging the Board of Directors, staff, Standards Development Council, Commission, and committee members. Cassandra's goals are to maintain the ANSI standard, create strategies to better communicate who we are, engage our stakeholders, identify and increase business opportunities, create meaningful partnerships, and make a positive, growth-oriented impact on the continuing education and training industry. Before joining IACET, Casandra had a 21-year-long career in higher education as adjunct and associate faculty coordinator, director, vice president, and chief academic officer in the community college in both public and private colleges and universities. In 2016, she began her career in the nonprofit trade association space as the Vice President of Education Services at American Gear Manufacturers Association. Casandra graduated from Talladega College with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Computer Science. She earned her Master of Education in Adult and Higher Education from the University of Missouri, St. Louis, where she is currently a doctoral candidate. Now, a few words from our CEO, Casandra Blassingame.
Good morning, everybody. And thank you, Jessica, for that welcome. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Randy, for all of those great instructions for all of our participants today. On behalf of our Board of Directors, staff, commission, and council, welcome to day 2 of the IACET's 2020 inaugural virtual conference. I'm Casandra Blassingame, IACET CEO, and I'm really happy to be here today with you to share some updates about what's going on here at IACET and how we're all going to be really continuing, just kind of working together and fulfilling our new mission and vision of this great organization. Before I begin, I would like to express our sincere and condolences to our friend and colleague, Kathleen Carroll, who recently lost her son in a motor vehicle accident. We're truly sorry for your loss, and our thoughts and prayers are with you, Kathleen, at this time. So moving on, and I'm sorry, I'm having a little moment here. Moving right along, and now starting to begin to tell you about the conference and what we've accomplished this week so far. I can't begin to tell you how excited we were about the outcome of our first day. To sum it up in one word, wow, really, just wow. I'm sure that anyone who has organized a conference, you know that it can be a very involved process. And then throw in the fact that it's virtual, right? Anything that can go wrong will. Now, I'm in this room talking by myself to a screen, and I know that there are 60, 70 people out there. I hope that you're going to be laughing with me today, and I'm not just really laughing at myself. So I hope to hear some giggles around the office so that I can also know that there are some people giggling and laughing with us, or with me throughout this conversation. So I'll begin by thanking my incredible staff. I mean, really incredible. Randy Bowman, our Vice President of Technology and Organizational Effectiveness, who you just heard from, the platform that he created, the production sheets that he provided us with detail down to the minute direction. You've truly been a director extraordinaire, and I really appreciate what you've done for this organization in the past and as we're moving forward into the future. Jessica Bird, our MC for the conference, excellent job. What you all don't know is that we had a last minute change. Let's just say that Jessica found out she was chosen to be MC yesterday morning at about 8:20. But because of how organized we were, she was able to run with it. And boy, did she run, and she's still running. Great job, Jessica. Alexa and Aaron, along with Jessica, ran the entire day yesterday. Yes, our millennial staff ran the first day of a conference that we are offering to our stakeholders for the first time in the history of IACET. They were the face of IACET, and let's be honest, our millennials are the emerging leaders of the future. So if anyone out there is leading with a leash or leading without confidence, let our young professionals be a shining example of what they are capable of. Smart, creative, innovative, spontaneous, technologically savvy, great sense of humor, and they remind us that when things get too heavy or too serious, how to have fun. I am beyond proud, and I'm thanking them for inspiring us all. Amy, Sherrard, Dee, and Ty for providing support and jumping in where you are needed. I also want to acknowledge our board member, Leah Jensen, marketing executive, Michael Zimmerman, and technical editor, Tisha Payne, who could not be here with us today due to unforeseen circumstances. So please join us in sending them well wishes. Where do I even begin with 2020? Where do any of us begin? The first 2.5 months have been eclipsed by the months that have followed. How can we even talk about 2020 without thinking about or even mentioning COVID-19, the pandemic, a major health crisis, an event that shook the world and continues to shake us today? We are challenged, we have lost, we have gained, we have maintained. And in the midst of it all, we take advantage of whatever opportunities that we can to help each other thrive and survive. We remain service-oriented, and we are reminded that our humanity at the end of the day is all we have, and that preservation is a priority. Earlier this week, I was reviewed for a seat on the Loudoun County Economic Development Council Advisory Board here in Northern Virginia. And one of the questions that was asked of me in short, and I paraphrase, as a leader, what impact has the pandemic had on your organization, and what kind of advice would you offer colleagues who are being challenged to rethink the way they do business and persevere? I answered immediately because, well, I've had 6 months of experience to share to answer that very question. And it is the very question that makes me get up every day and come to work for this incredible organization for an amazing industry, the continuing education and training industry. You may or may not know that I've served this organization for 3 years to the day. My involvement with IACET began with coming on board as a commissioner and as an accredited provider simultaneously. It was quite the ride indeed. I was in the middle of taking my former employer, the American Gear Manufacturers Association, through the accreditation process when I received the notification that my credentials were a great fit for me to be invited as a commissioner. I served as a commissioner and had the opportunity to review some really great training organizations. I listened to your concerns. I listened to your needs, both organizationally and professionally. I listened to your assessment and feedback for IACET, and I brought that intel back so that we could use that information to further refine and define our current processes and processes that we've used in the past. I listened, I observed, I used that intel to shape my experience and increase my ability to provide quality reviews. I engaged with the IACET and volunteered to create and develop tools for the commission and our applicants to use as we move through the review process and application processes. Last fall, I was invited to serve on the board of directors. I completed to complete a term of a director who resigned. I happily accepted. I attended my first meeting and decided near winter to apply for the CEO position. Fast forwarding, here I am today. Here we are today. I recently saw a quote on LinkedIn by Siemens Gamesa, a huge energy organization that is worldwide. And it read, "If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together." What better way to journey? In January, the executive committee and myself met to develop and propose the 2020-2021 strategic plan. Most of you have received that in the mail, but if you haven't, make sure you send an email request to our info box at info@iacet.com to receive a printed copy of that strategic plan. There are 5 initiatives to the plan. 1, increase the IACET brand through awareness through the use of social media, promoting I am an accreditor, write blogs, press releases, and articles. We do invite you to submit your articles and blogs about continuing education and training to be published on our website, in our CET Connection newsletter. And as we promote, the industry, we will also promote some of the things that you are doing within your organizations. Number 2, to strengthen stakeholder engagement by inviting stakeholders to the tables. APs, board of directors, commission, council, committees, organize engagement activities, provide events virtually. And these are all of the things that we have begun to do this fall with the marketing and including people in these processes for planning this conference. And it is the first of many virtual events that we will have over the coming years. Who knows? We may never really get fully back together in person, although that is our wish. But we will continue to provide means for our stakeholders to connect with IACET and assist us in advancing the mission and vision of this organization. Provide products and services that support the accreditation process, refining criteria, developing training for applicants and APs. So those are some of the things that we plan to and are in the process of planning to offer to our APs and applicants so that they can efficiently and effectively work through the application process and move through their 10 years of accreditation. Acquire and retain customers, paying attention to trends, providing the best customer services experiences, hold member events, member event onlys, and also other events that include stakeholders. Expand the IACET footprint worldwide through the use of social media, international outreach, word of mouth, just by plain old developing relationships across the globe. And we are well on our way to doing that by having conversations with our colleagues in Greece, in Africa, in Asia, and other parts of the world. So we're really excited about how we are proposing to meet these various initiatives. Like many of us, when I told people that I worked for the International Association for Continuing Education and Training, I would get, "Oh, what does your organization do?" And I would begin to explain, to tell them about our work. And well, in the end, they would say, "Oh, you're a membership association." Not exactly. We accredit continuing education and training organizations. I was pleasantly surprised to hear that the members of the executive committee and the board were getting that same question. So we proposed that we change the name of ISET. And just in case you weren't here yesterday to hear that announcement, we are now the International Accreditors for Continuing Education and Training. This better defines who we are and what we do, which is accredit training organizations to offer the IACET CEU. We are an accrediting body with a mission to improve the quality of continuing education and training worldwide through accreditation and a vision to advance the global workforce. We are believing it, we are achieving it. Strategic initiative number 2, strengthening stakeholder engagement, is the driving force behind the climate change that began to happen here at IACET. Without our volunteer leaders, none of the other initiatives would be accomplished. Without the talents of people with various backgrounds and levels of experience and expertise to contribute to this diverse industry, we would not grow. Without the commitment of the council and the commission, and to say the least, without the board, we would not have anyone to be an ambassador to champion the message of awareness. Yes, the industry knows who we are, but we cannot continue to rest on our laurels. No, this is an ever-changing, constantly evolving industry whose needs change on a daily basis without the effects of COVID. But because of it, the needs change on a daily basis and the stakes are much higher. How could we provide products and services that support the accreditation process if we are talking or not talking to the very people who seek out the IACET accreditation? We can't. So we have begun to engage with surveys, increased communication, more meaningful messaging by providing high levels of communication and being responsive and action-oriented to provide you with solutions. There would be no way that we could acquire and retain customers if we don't show some appreciations for the ones we have. Good news travels fast, but bad news travels at a much higher speed. We need you to know that we are here to support you in your goals to achieve accreditation, not only by answering your questions about the application or to provide you with a workshop or a professional development webinar. We are here to support the goals that impact your business and instigate growth. The IACET Council for Standards Development, under the leadership of Sherrod Jones and Chair Carol Martzoff, is being engaged at the highest levels. They have engaged this year in really reinstituting and revamping and reviving the council. And in short, they are developing a new policy and procedures manual, which is actually finished, but they've done that. They're implementing a project plan for the development of the 2023 standard. They are in development and implementation of the framework to guide standard development and oversee all the consensus bodies. They're developing and implementing standards consensus body guidelines and tools to facilitate the standards development process. As I mentioned before, they are, in short, really revitalizing that council and re-energizing it to the tune that it has had a need for kind of serious reorganization and reactivation. And they are closer, much closer to duty alignment between staff, council members, and leaders, and the council liaison secretariat. The ARC, the Accreditation Review Committee, is a group of our lead reviewers. They are also commissioners. Our site reviewers are being led by our lead reviewers and commission. Our site reviewers are being led by Pete Nochin and Kathleen Carroll. This amazing group of people, simply put, takes their jobs very seriously, and we need them to. They are the arm of the organization that enforces the compliance of the standard by reviewing all applications and ultimately awarding accreditation if the review results in the applicant demonstrating adherence and the ability to remain compliant with the standard. The purpose of the ARC shall be to maintain quality, uniformity, and consistency in the review process and shall function as the first line appeals body for accreditation decisions. A couple of things this group has accomplished this year are the development of the commission policy and procedures, a review and revision of the application that reduces redundancy and provides clear and concise direction to provide the application with a much better experience during the process, and the revision and refining of other policies and processes that have assisted us in operationalizing activity and decisions being made on challenging applications that may arise. Our staff is liaising with committees and mobilizing our volunteer leaders. Each staff member has been assigned to a committee to engage them in the work of ISET. Charters have been developed, meetings are happening and very well attended. So what have we accomplished this year? We have managed to meet the majority of our key performance indicators as they relate to revenue, which is great. Climate change, we are more inclusive. We invite our stakeholders to the table, listening, collaborating, engaging, and ultimately winning. Strengthening the foundation of the organization, our staff is better equipped to conduct the business of IACET. When I arrived and after the dust settled, we were a staff of 4. Today, we are a staff of 8. During my time with the executive committee in Florida, I had the opportunity to ride to the airport with one of our board members, Chris Neubauer. Chris is an amazing talent with an extensive background in human resources, and I'll never forget what he shared with me about his journey as he leads Rotary International as the head of human resources. He said he took the job leading HR under one condition, that they changed the name of the department to People and Talent. He said, people are not a resource. People are people. They have lives, they have obligations, they bring their talents to the organization, and we need to concern ourselves with the time, not only when they're sharing their talents with us, but also when they're not with us. The quality of their lives outside of the office affects their ability to utilize their skills and talents with us during the day. I was really blown away by that concept because I had never heard it before. And it was a pivotal moment for me as I began my leadership journey with IACET, and I'm eternally grateful for that learning experience on that 30-minute car ride. Virtual site visits. The pandemic forced us to make some immediate changes in our business model. How do we continue our work? We were faced with the same question everyone had to answer. We were able to mobilize the commission, the ARC, along with the staff, refine standard operating procedures on virtual site visits, providing the commission with a framework for conducting virtual site visits on a regular basis. One lovely Saturday morning, all of our commissioners showed up and attended a town hall meeting to address this issue. How are we going to move forward during the polarization that the pandemic has brought on so quickly? One of our board members, Jennifer Hoffman Dye, offered Zoom training for all commissioners. One of her colleagues from London actually provided 2 training sessions, and we were able to get everyone trained with a further training provided by our Vice President of Technology, Randy Bowman. Everyone rose to the occasion to continue the work of IACET and to ensure that our service did not suffer in quality and that our applicants' processes were not interrupted. To date, we have conducted 54 virtual site visits. Now, let me share a little background on the virtual site visits. Last year, there was an organization seeking accreditation that was based in Australia. It was an application that Lori Schneider and I actually worked on, and she was the site reviewer and I was the lead. It would have been ridiculously expensive to try to physically take that trip to Australia, whether they were coming here or we were going there. And if I'm correct in my recollection, the organization's team was able to get a little closer geographically. In the end, it was not possible to physically meet. And after much deliberation, planning, and through a tremendous collaborative effort, the first virtual site visit was conducted. The thought was that we could better serve our international applicants in their efforts to become accredited providers. There were maybe 2 more virtual site visits conducted under the same auspices since that time. But when the shutdown happened as a result of the pandemic, we had already in place a tool that allowed us to re-engineer the way we do business. And it was an incredible feat. Commission training for our commissioners has evolved from once a year to now we're going to be doing commissioner training ongoing. And we're going to make sure that that training is monthly and that the review teams are equipped with the tools and knowledge needed to perform application reviews. Training opportunities for applicants and accredited providers have also been planned to assist our applicants and accredited providers in increasing their knowledge base about adult education, instructional design, how accreditation impacts business, etc. We want to do everything that we can to provide our industry not only with leadership, but with resources and tools that you can use to earn the accredited provider status and as you maintain your accredited provider status. We have moved our offices from Herndon, Virginia to Sterling, Virginia. And while it was only 5 miles, it was a great opportunity for us to find a space that we can call our own and provide training and everything from this particular location. We will be building out a training room that is essentially a Zoom room. We have changed the name. Again, the International Accreditors for Continuing Education and Training. I don't think that I can say it enough, and you probably won't be able to either. I will also mention that we have a new tagline associated with that new name. I am an accreditor, because that's what we do. And it sends the message beyond our naming convention as to who we are and what we do for the continuing education and training industry. Last but certainly not least, we are launching the 50th anniversary celebration of the IACET CEU. Can you believe it? 50 years ago, we were charged by the Department of Education, known then as the Council for the Continuing Education Unit, to provide metrics and a standard to measure continuing education and training activities. We will continue to engage you with activities and contests over the next year as we lead up to the 2021 annual conference. Now, earlier I mentioned that I was asked a question. As a leader, what impact has the pandemic had on your organization? And what kind of advice would you offer colleagues who are being challenged to rethink the way they do business and persevere? Well, my answer was this. The pandemic impacted our business in a big way. We were now faced with the challenge of all staff working remote and the challenge of hiring new staff so that we could continue to meet the needs of our applicants who were working their way through the application process, and also support our accredited providers seeking guidance on how they could move from in-person training to online training, or just simply put, survive. My advice was that you need to remain flexible, nimble, to the tune that you may think that you're an acrobat or a contortionist. It's a mental, it's a test of the wills. Most think that it's a time to think outside of the box. The pandemic has influenced quite the opposite. It has forced us to think inside the box. We are always looking out to discover the next best thing, how to do something better. and we get caught up in all of the advertisement that promise to help us do business better, to be more effective. We need to realize that the tools that we have are actually inside our box. Look around your own backyard. There are flowers everywhere. And if you see some weeds there, pull them up and throw them out. It's time to beautify your own environment. And I am confident that when I say the grass always looks greener on the other side, whether you're looking to or influenced to look. But I promise, if you water your grass, it will be just as green. In closing, I'd like to thank you for registering for the 2020 IACET virtual conference. It is the first time that the organization has put on an event, but it's being led by our strategic initiative number 2 to strengthen our stakeholder engagement. If you are interested in registering for today's session, use IACET code, use the discount code. Let's see, I am missing it. It is IACET 2020 VC for $25 off. You can view the rest of the conference and join us in the 4 sessions that we have planned out today. Thank you, Amy. IACET 2020 VC, and also hear our keynote speaker and attend our awards ceremony and recognition event later on this evening. We look forward to the years to come as we work in collaboration to positively impact the continuing education and training industry worldwide. I've enjoyed my time here with you this morning, and I think that we're going to kind of open it up for question and answer. So I am wide open to that.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Alexa Niley, the coordinator of accreditation training. I will be moderating the question and answer session for all the sessions today. So if you have a question, go ahead and send it in the question and answer icon box, and those will come through to us, and we will be able to address them here. And I would also like to take the opportunity to reiterate all of our staff's thoughts about how wonderful it has been to have Casandra step in as CEO. You really going a little off script here, but she has really done a fantastic job implementing some much needed changes and really just changing the culture of IACET in really the best way. So I don't want to put words in others' mouths, but I know that they feel the same, that we really are very grateful to have her here as CEO.
Thank you, Alexa.
Yes.
I didn't pay her extra, I promise.
It's true, she didn't. It's all genuine. And I'm seeing people agree with me, so it's definitely not just me.
I think we have one question, Alexa, that came through.
Okay. I'm taking a look here. Here we go. What are some of the challenges that IACET faces over the next couple of years?
Well, you know, I hate to seem, you know, overly optimistic, and I see that's David, one of our committee members, and I love working with David. I don't want to be too overly optimistic, but I think that we're going to, as we already are, kind of experiencing some growing pains. I think that the changes are positive in terms of, you know, growth. I think that we're going to see that, especially with all the retooling that a workforce that has been unemployed and, you know, that is underskilled for the last several months. And even beyond that, I mean, even before that, you know, we've had underskilled workforces, and workforce development training, continuing education training has really taken off in the last 5 to 10 years in terms of reskilling people, even beyond, you know, postgraduate, but especially in the trades. So I think that we're going to experience some significant growing pains because of the population of people who need the training. I think that we're going to experience those growing pains due to the fact that there are accredited providers or training providers out there who need this accreditation to be able to offer people meaningful credentialing. We have the digital badging program, and so we're looking in the next year to establish advisory boards on workforce and the community colleges where we can really start to promote our open digital badging program. But I also think that, we could also be challenged by technology. We could be limited by technology. I think I'd like to say that the information communications technology industry is working probably around the clock. And if there are some extra hours that can be thrown, on the clock, that they're working those too to make sure that broadband is not an issue and that that people do have the capacity to provide the virtual trainings that are necessary to train people. So I think that, there are going to be a couple of challenges there. But I think for the most part, I think that IACET is really going to experience some significant growth. And I think it's also going to come from the engagement that we're doing. So that's, I guess, the short of it.
Thank you so much. We've got another question. Do you know, so the question is IACET planning to have regional offices continental wise? So will we be expanding headquarters around the world?
One could only dream. So if we're going to keep watering this grass, I'll just say that. There's no immediate plan for that to happen, but there is an immediate plan for us to engage business development opportunities abroad. So, that's kind of a good place to start. And we're starting right here with adding commissioners from all over the world. We have commissioners in England, India, Ecuador, Singapore. Well, actually now Daryl is a board member, but we have commissioners stationed around the world. I believe we have a commissioner now in Northern Africa. So we are expanding our commission. We do have a board member now that is out of Singapore and on the board. So I think that as we start to, be true to our name and the international in our name, that it can only influence that type of global growth as well.
Great, thank you so much. And as we close out here, we did have one request to repeat the tagline again.
I am an accreditor. I hope you all are laughing because I'm being silly by myself. Well, now I have Alexa, so. But it's I am an accreditor.
Yes, there you go. Well, thank you so much for your questions. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back off to Jessica to wrap us up here, but thank you again, Cassandra.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you so much to Alexa and Cassandra, and thank you to all of our stakeholders and complimentary attendees for joining. Just a reminder that it's not too late to join the rest of the conference. Please head to www.iacet.org to register using the discount code, and that discount code was IACET 2020BC. Our next session is all about learning outcomes with Dr. Sandra Williams and Dr. Aileen Zaballero, my apologies, from Rothwell and Associates. Please use the link in the annual conference portal to join the next session. We can't wait to see you there.